Does anyone else just kind of like hate the internet these days and hate what it's become and like dread opening your phone every single day? I thought so. Okay, let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Jacob. If you're new here, I used to make videos a lot. I stopped making them and I'm trying to start again. And if you have been here, hi. I'm sorry it's been a while. Let's chat. So something that's been on my mind a lot lately is talking about just like the ways that the internet has shifted and morphed and how a lot of the ways that we engage online are becoming like extremely unrecognizable to me, extremely uncomfortable for me and making me like just in a lot of ways not want to engage anymore, not share myself online so much, not engage with people online. And I think there's just a lot of parts of like internet culture that used to be really fun that have kind of become like sinister in a lot of ways. And I think, especially as someone who is the age that I am at, I am turning 28 in a week or so, and I'm at like right at that cusp of like Gen Z and millennial, in that era that like saw the rise of social media and lived a life pre-social media and has now kind of seen the way it's transformed into being like a very dominant part of our culture. And this isn't going to be like a back in my day sort of thing, but I do think I'm at like a unique position point where I have seen the way that things used to be and I see the way things are now. And there are times where things weren't like this. And as somebody who has always used the internet to like build community, learn things, make connections with other people, so on and so forth, the ways that I used to use the internet and the things that used to be possible, or not possible because I don't think these things are impossible anymore, but things that used to be a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable when it came to the internet are now just like not parts of the culture as much as they used to be. And of course, things change over time, but I think a lot of things have kind of changed for the worse. So I want to just like talk about all of this today. I want to kind of start just like where I like started online because I am someone who has been online for most of my life. And then I want to talk about just like some of the cultural trends and shifts and attitudes and the ways we interact with each other online have changed and just kind of like I don't know where we're going to go from there. So a lot of my earliest interactions online were like playing like web games and things like that. Like I think about my time playing like Club Penguin, a lot of these like MMO sort of games. I remember if anyone played Boom Bang back in the day. I feel like that was like the Timu version of like IMVU or whatever that game was called. But I was kind of like in that world playing a lot of online games and stuff like that. And I think a lot of my like earlier online interactions were like online, but were in community with people that I knew in real life. If I was playing Club Penguin with people, if I was playing like Webkins, a lot of these online games and stuff like that, of course I was like interacting with strangers, but like largely I was interacting with people that like I was going to school with, I was going to church with, so on and so forth. And that's kind of where I first got started, like being online. I also used to be on, well, not used to be, I have been on YouTube like since its inception. I remember like uploading like cringy little videos of me, like, doing little skits or like making like custom, like homemade music videos, the songs I liked and things like that. And like, very, very early ages. I think like the first YouTube video I uploaded, I was probably in like fourth or fifth grade. Maybe it might have been earlier, and that video is privated, and y'all will not see it. But like I've been someone who's been kind of on there. And then, I wasn't like the first generation to like engage with social media. I think that was probably like millennials with like, things like MySpace, a lot of like the earlier like pre-social media web forums and things like that. So I wasn't like first to kind of engage with that, but I was with like that wave of, things like Facebook emerging and where social media kind of became more of like a mainstream thing and wasn't like this like kind of like niche sort of sideline thing or whatever. Like I remember like making my first Facebook account, like adding all my friends on there and like seeing a lot of people outside of like college students who were the initial first audience for Facebook, like getting on those platforms and things like that. And around that same time, I was still watching YouTube videos. I was hanging out with my friends and stuff like that. I also was like doing a lot of like activities that were kind of like the precursors to Discord. A lot of me and like my school friends and stuff would sit on like Skype calls for like 6, 7, 8 hours at a time, multiple days a week, most of the weekend, like playing Minecraft, playing like emulator Pokemon games and stuff like that. So there was a lot of that. And then social media grew and grew and grew. And I continued to be on these platforms. And I think the first platform that I really started like, engaging a lot with like the outside world in a lot of ways, not just like people I knew or not just like passively consuming content and stuff like that, was around like probably earlier Twitter, but largely Tumblr. And my hot take kind of as an aside, and let me know if you want me to talk about this more in my future. I think that Tumblr was the peak of social media. I think that, Tumblr did a lot of things that like social media now has kind of like become horrible because of. I think they were doing a lot of things right. There was a lot of things wrong happening over there, and there was a lot of like discourse and things like that was like really goofy. Like I think that's kind of like the coining of your fave is problematic. A lot of the like that sort of stuff that was a precursor to a lot of like hot takes and stuff like that we have now. But like that was kind of like the social media platform where I truly was like super, super active on social media and like sharing myself on social media too. Before like if I was on Instagram or if I was on like Twitter or so on and so forth, I was like posting things, but it was just like kind of like goofy thoughts. It wasn't really like me like sharing myself. It was me engaging with my friends' pictures and things like that, just like posting goofy things from school. But Tumblr was the first social media where I really was like getting involved with like actual online communities, interacting with a lot of people like that I didn't really know outside of social media, and like curating my interests and such online, and in a lot healthier way than I engage with social media now, I feel like, because before algorithmic feeds, which we're going to get into in a minute, like I would get on Tumblr, I would scroll, I would look at my like Inuyasha gifs, I would engage with like the gay bear community, I would engage with anime art, so on and so forth. I would do all that, look at the stuff that I wanted to see for the day, and then I would get off, and it wasn't this like constantly on all the time. It wasn't this like constant refreshing. There wasn't like an algorithm that was like trying to optimize and curate my feed. It was still like in the era of chronological feeds. So like I was engaging with these platforms, I was engaging with these communities, but there wasn't this like pull to constantly be on there. There were a lot of people that were just like sharing their interests. There were a lot of people that like had like 5, 6, 7, 8 blogs for all the fandoms they were in. There were people that, like talking about certain TV shows and stuff like that. With a lot of like the gay communities I was in, it was people like, sharing their relationships, sharing their lives, sharing like, their experiences being like queer in certain areas, so on and so forth. There was like a level of just like, just posting whatever to it too. But like that was like social media for me that felt very community oriented, and a lot of like long-term friendships that I have from online, purely online, came from that sort of era. And I think that's the first social media too where I actually was like creating things that were being engaged with past like my social circle too. Like back in my Tumblr, I used to make like a lot of like goofy memes and stuff, a lot of like silly posts. If you've ever seen that meme that was, what if we kissed at the Kia summer sales event, that was me. Side note, I'm editing this video right now, and I went to go look up the meme to download it to put in the video. Somebody made a song titled "What If We Kissed at the Kia Summer Sales Event." Shout out to the band Sweet Peach. I'm listening to it. It's pretty good. This is the energy of the internet that I want back. There are like a handful of memes that I've made that have got like decent amount of traction online that people have like referenced and cited and things like that. And that was the first time I kind of like engaged with social media as like a let's communicate largely with the outside world, outside of like playing silly games and so on and so forth. And then of course, if we all know, or maybe we don't all know, but SESTA gets passed around 2016. Tumblr kind of takes a death spiral because they ban adult content. A lot of the communities that I'm in particular, a lot of these like queer, like bear, gay communities, so on and so forth, kind of fragment. Some of them go to Twitter, some of them go back to Facebook. That whole like ecosystem of fandom, content creation, so on and so forth kind of dies. And of course, same time you have like YouTube popping up, so on and so forth, things like that. And we're gonna like just fast forward at this point to like current social media, current like algorithm driven social media, post TikTok, post Instagram algorithm change to algorithmic feeds from the like chronological feeds that we used to have, in like the era of algorithms driving things, and also the normalization of being a content creator, even like being something you call yourself, and like making content online shifting from being like this more like niche thing, or not even just niche, like either something that you did just because you were interested in it and you had a passion about it, something that you like did specifically around like, a certain topic that you were just passionate about, or just something you did to like express yourself. Like I think a lot of the like earlier YouTube people that are kind of like that first generation of like what we now call influencers were just like goofy, weird, oftentimes marginalized people that were just like talking to their webcams or setting up a camera and like talking about whatever, not really like doing this as like an aspiration towards like a career. That wasn't something that like we thought was possible really until it became possible in like the early 2010s, and like I think kind of like coalescing around like 2014, 2015 sort of era. I think that's when we saw like these social media content creator influencer as career really started to get taken seriously and viewed as something that was aspirational. And all, I think that was a good thing. And I think, you know, a lot of these creators who were making this content deserve to be paid for their work. I think this is something that like deserves to be a career. I'm not like shaming that at all, but I think that shift in particular, when this went from, oh, this is a hobby that you might get paid for, to you can become as famous and as adjacent to celebrity as like actors, models, singers, so on and so forth, really did shift alongside algorithmic feeds. And the algorithm, for a lot of good and for a lot of bad, offered pretty much anybody the chance to become an influencer, to become a content creator, so on and so forth. And I think that was fun for like a hot minute. And I think there were a lot of people that I got like put onto, a lot of people that like I now like have become bigger, and like people I've like watched blow up and things like that. And I think that's really cool. I personally have found like the most success on platforms like TikTok. That's where like by far the largest audience I've ever curated is. So like it's all been good and cool and fun. But I think the way that it is like affected social media has turned this into like everybody is kind of like posting like they want to be an influencer. Everybody is trying to build a platform. Everybody's trying to launch a podcast. Everybody is trying to like sell you stuff, so on and so forth. Really like shifted the ways both that we consume and engage with content, but also the ways that we like interact with people. And I think, again, as somebody who has always been online, wanting to seek out community, wanting to like actually build connections with people, both just online, but ones that like go past online. Like I talked about this a little bit earlier, but like a lot of my like social media friendships have been long lasting from like those past eras and have like broken into real life. A lot of the people I hang out with on a very regular basis were people I met from Tumblr, people I met from early Twitter, so on and so forth. Like my best friend in the whole world, I met through another close friend who was dating that person now. Like he was somebody I met on Tumblr. I was just on a call with like my friend from Tumblr that I met like 6-7 years ago. We were on call for like 7 hours yesterday. Like a lot of these online friendships and communities and things that I was in have been long lasting. And I feel like nowadays, I feel like saying like it's not possible is a little hyperbolic and like might be a little bit like nihilistic way of looking at it. But like the landscape has shifted so much. And I think with these algorithmic feeds and the way that we are now just like consuming so much stuff has led to like an anti-social culture, especially with like post-lockdown era where like we were all like super locked into social media because that was like the only thing that we could do. And I think also like, of course, algorithmic feeds, so on and so forth. Like I think the ways that we engage with each other online have gotten like very strange, very like anti-social, very like dehumanizing. And a lot of like our real life experiences, our ways that we interact with each other in real life, so on and so forth, has all become content, which I find very disturbing. And that's one of the main gripes I want to talk about today. I'm currently working on a video essay on this, so I like won't get too deep into it, and we'll see if I get the video essay made or whatever. But like the number of like content creators and just like scenarios that I see where I feel like on one hand there is more and more struggle to like actually find community and engage with people that are on social media just to like enjoy it and not like trying to be an influencer, trying to launch something, so on and so forth. But at the same time, I feel like I know like so much about just like random internet people, because like spilling tea about like your real life scenarios has just become like in a lot of ways the way that like people either blow up or like aspire to blow up on social media. Like the ways in which like social media has now just kind of become a way to like surveil each other or like punish people for having like weird social interactions. Like the number of people that I've seen like make videos where they had like a weird interaction on a dating app or something, and they're posting like full screenshots with people's like government name and like basically doxing people because maybe they were cringy or awkward on a date, or people like recounting like interactions they had with like a close friend or something where their friend like maybe did something a little snaky or treated them wrong, and like rather than like speak to the friend or like take it to the group chat or so on and so forth, they decide to like make a 5-part series like exposing their friend or whatever and like putting them on blast and like asking for the public opinions like input on something that was like a close personal connection dispute. I think that kind of cultural shift has one maybe like not really interested in building community with like a lot of people online, and also too like makes me wary about like how my interactions with people are going to be used, because I feel like in a lot of ways like this sort of like parasocial like content creation historically, but like more so now more than ever has like been the key to like building communities, so on and so forth. Like people want to like follow and engage and support and spend on people that they feel like they're like friends with, whether like they actually know them or not, so on and so forth. But like the number of like people, especially people like just like normal users, like I've been saying, that are like trying to be content creators and trying to like build something and like seem to be like perfectly okay with like using any sort of experience they have, whether it should be put online or not, as like the fuel for what they're going to build their platform off of. It's so strange to me. And like, even if these videos are like presenting scenarios where like something like wild happened and like something where the person has been wronged, or like I feel bad for them, I also have to look at this sort of content and like look at them and I'm like, don't you think you're weird for like even posting this in the first place? Like, why do I know this? Why do I know this? And I made a TikTok about this, but I was talking about just like viewing this content. And I think like if that was something that happened to me, like if one of my good friends, like me and them had like a personal dispute or something, and then I opened TikTok the next day and saw like a 3-part series talking about like, I had a falling out with Jacob and we need to talk about it. And here's what happened. And da 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 da. I'm like, that would send me into like actual psychosis. That would like actually send me into a mental health crisis, I feel like. And I feel like it's just like so normal and almost expected nowadays that like if something happens to you, like you have to do that online, and just like not thinking about like the scale of what that is, or like how that like sets precedent for how we engage with each other or whatever. In a lot of ways, like I don't really want to like engage with people as much as I used to online, because like I'll be like talking to people or whatever, and in the back of my mind I'm like, what if I say the wrong thing and I say something weird or whatever? And like, is this gonna be like a think piece on TikTok? Is this gonna be like a spill salacious story time? Is this gonna be something that like YouTube video essayists who like regurgitate TikTok drama like talk about for the next week? Like, I think the ways that we interact with each other are so strange. And like, it's not that these things were like not things that were happening online before. Like, I think especially like in like early like 2010s YouTube, like the story time content, you know, that was like a lot of content that, you know, a lot of our current like big influencers sort of blew up on, and that was happening on like Tumblr and things like that too. So like, this isn't like new, but I feel like nowadays like it is much more of an expose. People have like much less regard for privacy. Like, I feel like back in like these story time eras, unless it was like another YouTuber they were talking about or something, like people weren't like naming full government names. People were changing details of the story to make sure you couldn't figure out who it was. They were changing dates, so on and so forth. So they were like presenting it more as like, hey, here's an interesting story. Now it's like I'm having this interaction in real time. I'm going to tell you exactly who it's about, or I'm going to give you at least enough information to like you can figure out who it's about. I'm not going to regard the other person's humanity when I do that or whatever. And that content has become so normalized. And like, I'm part of the problem too, because sometimes I watch them because like I'm a messy person who lives for drama. I'm trying to like be better about it and just like block these people or like ignore them or whatever. But like that sort of like dehumanizing genre of content, alongside a lot of the other issues that I feel like have been just like, you know, talked about and we all kind of know to like a very deep extent, like just how like oversaturated the content creator economy in general has become. A lot of like issues like generative AI, so on and so forth. We're gonna talk about that in a second. Just like the hyper capitalization of social media to where now like everyone's trying to sell you something. Everyone's got a TikTok shop code. Everyone's got a like referral or whatever. You open like TikTok or Instagram and like every other post you view is an ad. Like platforms are like obscuring the actual content in favor of like either who's advertising, who's paying to have their things like inflated, who's rage baiting to make money, like so on and so forth. Like the feeds have been destroyed in a lot of ways. And I think too, generative AI, let's talk about that for a second. Like that has become such a big part of a problem too. And like, it is one thing for people who like are regularly making content, like their job is a content creator, that are using generative AI. Still bad, still horrible, shouldn't be doing it. Why are we using ChatGPT to like script videos? Like you have a brain, let's use it. But like the number of just like regular people who like are posting a lot of times, like I said, in aspiration, either actively or passively, of becoming a content creator, are using generative AI. Like one example that sent me like spiraling the other day, and I'm going to change some of the details so you don't find this person, but I was watching a TikTok the other day and it was like of this young person who was making a video like demonstrating their hobby. Let's say they were like restoring vintage crochet items and we're like documenting the process. It was one of those like for part two where we fix the weave in the next episode, so on and so forth. And like the first video was really good, but then like in the second video I was watching it and like listening to the way they were talking, and I was like, this person's talking like really, really strange. And some of the people in the comments clocked that. And someone was like, hey, did you use ChatGPT to like script your voiceover for this video? And the person was like, yeah, I did. Cause like I just da 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 da. And I'm like, we can't even like talk about our hobbies online anymore without AI. Like that was just like so bewildering to me, and I feel like the AI of it all and social media too has kind of ruined things in a lot of ways as well. Like I more than ever I like have to like really really scrutinize like if what I'm looking at is real, especially kind of in the vein of like a lot of this like parasocial like expose core content I was just talking about. Like some of these like videos like aren't even like real to begin with. Like the story times aren't real and they're like AI generated or pulled from Reddit. Like people will be posting like AI generated like Ring camera footage or like AI customers crashing out on people in like restaurants and stores and blah, blah, blah. Like the AI of it all has like really gotten so trash. I think I made a TikTok video about this as well, but like I got an offer from a like content creation like advertising agency or whatever that was literally offering me like a very very crappy amount of money first and foremost, but like asking for the rights to like use my face to generate like TikTok shop videos and stuff like that. Like the advertising slop is already so bad, and now with generative AI, like people are AI generating advertising slop because I guess making low effort advertising slop already is like too expensive and like too much work, I guess. So I guess we just like we'll use Chat GPT and generative AI to like sell more slop. Like it's like I feel like I just like open my phone nowadays and I go on social media and it's just like garbage. It's garbage. It's either like I'm being sold garbage, I'm being told garbage situations, I'm viewing AI generated garbage. People are using ChatGPT to tell me garbage story. Like it's so bad. And I think too, like now that this is like an established industry or whatever, if it's not like that slop, it's people that like are following these like scripted sort of like formulaic archetype, like the number of like Alex Earl clones that are on social media, or like the number of like somebody that like breaks through and like does well on social media, and then you have like 3 kabillion other like little people that are gonna like copy that same exact sort of archetype as like a aspirational framework for how to become an influencer. Like it's so bleak. And as someone, like I said, who has been so interested in this space and this technology as a ways to make connection, it like sucks to see the internet like become like garbage slop like wasteland in a lot of ways. And not to say that's completely like that. Like there are like a handful of people that I still engage with and still like and there are people I talk to and stuff like that, but like not anywhere near the capacity of like quality engaging stuff that like I feel like there used to be in a lot of ways, or just like real people sharing their lives and not like the most like algorithmically friendly like salacious way possible. And like there is sort of like a silver lining that I see to all of this, where I feel like perfection is almost so easy to make at this point. Like you can AI generate thumbnails and scripts and so on and so forth. Like if you have enough money, you can curate the perfect aesthetic, so on and so forth. Everyone's using the same cameras, the same framing setup, so on and so forth. Like I think we've gotten to the point where like perfection is so attainable to get for the like average sort of person with a decent amount of money. I'm hopeful that eventually at some point this is all just gonna sort of crash and we get back to like the internet that I enjoyed, where it was just like weirdos in their room who like didn't like really care that like talking to your camera for like 30 minutes or whatever was like a weird thing, and it wasn't like this sort of aspirational cool sort of thing. Like I want to get back to that internet. I don't know if that's going to like necessarily be a thing so much in a way that also like is feasible for somebody to do like full time. Like a lot of the people that I watch and enjoy online are content creators that also like work. This isn't like their sole income. A lot of them probably make enough money to like live off of it, but it's not like I do this and this is like how I pay the bills and I have to do this and I have to like make my videos wild and engaging and optimize it for the algorithm, blah, 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 blah. Like most of the people I watch will be fine if this like ends up not being something that works out. So I hope we kind of get back to a point where there's like an internet and a social media and an online space that like feels more real, feels more like authentic, isn't like done in aspiration of becoming famous, and is actually like people that are trying to curate community spaces. That's something that like I've been trying to do more with my social media, and like shameless plug, I feel like I have been having the most fun weirdly on like Twitch streaming lately. That was something that like I wanted to do for a while, and I just like within the last like 6 8 months or however long I've been doing it was like I should just try this and see how it goes. And like the amount of like actual like good community that I have been able to build over there, which I didn't even really think was possible, because right until like not until I started watching Twitch like a year ago, like actively outside of like back when I played like League of Legends and stuff, like, and this is gonna sound so silly, like I didn't know like like gay people, queer people, like so on and so forth were like on there even really at all. I thought it was like all just like straight gamer boy, Valorant, Call of Duty player, that sort of energy or whatever. So like I've been having a lot of fun like finding community spaces and doing that over there. So shameless plug, if you want to like hang out in a community that's like nice, cool people that actually want to get to know each other, like that's what I've been doing over there. So I don't know. I don't really have any like final thoughts. I'm just more so like what I hear what you all think about this. Like, because I know for a fact that like everybody's kind of like to some degree or another just like annoyed, overwhelmed, overstimulated, kind of just like getting the ick on social media. And I feel like I see more and more content of people like, you know, either leaving platforms entirely or trying to like niche down on like what they're on, or like trying to shift to platforms maybe like Substack or so on and so forth, where it's more like long form writing and it's not like necessarily short form video and quick little hot takes or whatever. So I feel like there is like a shift that's imminent, a cultural sort of desire for something that's not what things are right now. So I would love to hear what you think below. And hopefully this was like a conversation that you enjoyed and a conversation that we can continue in the comments. We'll see how this video ends up on the editing floor. I feel like I just ranted and ranted and ranted, but like that's kind of like low key. I feel like that's where I do my best. I'll just say a bunch of things and then y'all can tell me what you think about it. And hopefully there was some sort of cohesive point in here, so on and so forth. So that's pretty much all I got. For my people that have been rocking with me for a while and have been like, where are the videos? Hopefully this was nice. I feel like this was like an extended Sunday app session, and like, you know, I said that series was over, but maybe it's coming back. Maybe that's what I need to be doing here in the first place. I have videos in the works that I'm planning on working on, and like hopefully those come to fruition. I have like 2 things that I'm in the process of like scripting right now, so hopefully more to come. Yeah, if you liked it, like it. If you want to see another one, subscribe. Thank you for hanging with me. Thank you for entertaining me as I yapped at you for however long this video is. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.